Hey y'all, welcome back. So today is going to be a pretty short video. We're going to do a combination of my February wrap up along with my March TBR. So we're just going to go ahead and get into it. So for the month of February, I did only read 2 books this past month, and that was due to, number one, I have been battling a sinus infection for the past month, so I haven't felt like doing a whole lot of anything. I've been working, and then I've been sleeping and taking medicine that hasn't been working. Yeah. And then secondly, we did have a death in the family, so I have been kind of checking in on my mom, making sure she's okay, going to go see her when I can. So between those two things, I really didn't get a whole lot of reading done, which, you know, it happens, so that's okay. So the 2 books that I read, the first one is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This book is about 2 main characters. First one is named Malik. Malik is going to the Solstasia festival. I believe it's set in a fictional village or fictional city in Africa. So Malik is there with his 2 sisters. His youngest sister Nadia does get abducted by an evil spirit, and in order to get her back, he makes a deal with the spirit that he has to kill the crown princess named Karina. Alright, and then he'll get his sister back. On the flip side, we have Karina. Karina's mother, the Sultana, was just assassinated, and in order to bring her back to life, she has to kill a king, right? So what ends up happening is Karina offers her hand in marriage as a reward for the games that are played at the Solstasia festival. Malik ends up entering as a champion in the Solstasia festival, and that's kind of how the book starts to take place. Now, for this book, I did give it a 3.5 out of 5. I did really like it. I liked the culture. I liked the way that the writing was done. I liked the customs. I liked being immersed in a new world. But what really got me was the characters, for me, were not likable. Malik was very cowardly. He was very kind of wimpy. He had chances to kind of improve his life or to do things differently, and all he would do was just kind of sit there and freeze. And then later on, he would berate himself for it and tell himself that he wasn't good enough and that he was worthless. And so it just got kind of old after a while. It was just kind of like, okay, either do something or shut up. Karina, on the other hand, was very selfish, and she was very horrible. Like, she was very mean. She was very rude, and like, it goes into detail as to why, but for me, it was just kind of like, that's not really a good reason for you to be so awful to all these people who are trying to take care of you. So, not a huge fan of the characters, but the book did end very well. There's another book coming out, A Psalm of Storms and Silence. So that comes out, I believe, sometime this year. I'm really excited. I do want to read it, but the characters were just kind of like, you're kind of annoying. I don't really like you. Second book that I read was The Boyfriend Project by Farah Racone. This one was a romance. So just to quickly recap, we have a girl named Samaya who finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her with like 2 different people. She ends up meeting this man named Daniel Collins at work, and she tries not to fall for him, and this, that, and the third. You know the deal. So with this book I gave a 3. Honestly, like, it was very fast paced, but in the sense that, like, it was just kind of unrealistic. Like, I didn't really care about either of the characters very much. The author didn't take enough time to build up the characters and get me attached and invested in the characters. Yeah, it was just kind of lackluster. Like, it just was. And then it was one of those books where instead of showing you how a character feels, she just tells you. And so I just was kind of like, okay. Now, moving on to the March TBR. Now, for February, I did want to include books written by Black authors. Since I didn't really get to any of them, I only got to 2 of them. I am going to be putting those books in my subsequent TBRs. So I won't go into too much detail with these ones because I did talk about these in my February TBR. So if you want to hear kind of a more in-depth summary of what they're supposed to be about, go ahead and check that out. I will link that in the cards. So first book that we're kind of carrying over is Just Mercy by Brian Sanderson. This one is based on a true story. Then we have a poetry book called Her by Pierre Alex Gianti. We have Becoming by my First Lady Michelle Obama. And then we have Ties That Tether by Jane Igaro. Okay, so those are the 4. Now I also have 3 books that are ready for me to read on Libby, so I figured I should go ahead and include those. They give you 21 days to read the book, so that should be fine. First book is Island of the Blue Dolphins by, I believe, Scott Odell. This book I read all the time when I was younger. I really liked it. So this book is about a girl named Karana. She has lived alone for years on the island of the Blue Dolphins. She's waiting for a ship to come and take her away. And it just kind of goes through how she survived by making food, by hunting, dealing with the other creatures on the island. And it's just a really good book. Like, I remember this book and I remember it being like sad and kind of heart-wrenching and beautiful. And I saw it on Libby, so I put in the little request for it, and it is finally available for me to read. So we're going to be reading that one this month. We're also going to be reading Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I have a series by Laini Taylor. It's the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, which I absolutely love. This book is a duology, so there's Strange the Dreamer and then there's Muse of Nightmares. So in Strange the Dreamer, we follow Laszlo Strange. He's a war orphan and a junior librarian. And since he was 5 years old, he's been obsessed with the city of Weep. It's a lost city that no one can really remember too much about. So he basically takes a journey to the city of Weep to discover all of its secrets and mysteries and things like that. I've read maybe about 20 to 25 pages of this one, but I ended up stopping it because I just had other things to do. But and that's a very poor explanation of it as well. But I am very excited about that one. It's been on my list for quite a while. So, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. And then last but not least, for the Libby portion, we have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. The only other book I've read by Sarah J. Maas is Throne of Glass, which I did really like and I want to get the series. This one is about a girl named Fair. Says Fair's survival rests upon her ability to hunt and kill. So when she spots a deer in the forest being pursued by a wolf, she cannot resist fighting it for the flesh. So she ends up killing the wolf. Turns out the wolf was a fairy. And so she's then dragged to a magical kingdom and being tried for the murder of a fairy. It kind of goes through her time in the land of fairy. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that happens. This book is, I think there's 4 books in the series. I'm not 100% sure. I love books that deal with fae and anything fairyland. I love it. I think many authors have very different takes on it, which I find amazing, and it's a great world to escape into because it's so different than the world that I live in now. So I'm very excited about that one. All right, and then we have 2 more books for the month of March. First one is a self-help book. This one is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. So this book will help you to identify and change the self-sabotaging beliefs and behaviors that stop you from getting what you want, create a life you totally love and create it now, and make some damn money already, the kind you've never had before. So I'm excited about this one. I've tried to get through it multiple times, but it's very hard for me to read self-help books and nonfiction books. I'm very into fantasy and fiction, so I'm really trying to branch out of my comfort zone. So we have that one. And then last but not least, we have Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. This is a book of the month edition. So this is about Lila Ridgefield. She lives in an idyllic college town. Lila isn't what she seems. A student vanished months ago. Now Lila's husband Aaron is also missing. At first these cases are treated as like unrelated, but eventually they find out that they possibly are related. Yeah. So it's like a whodunit psychological thriller, right up my alley, as always. Okay, so that is going to be 9 total books that I'm planning on reading for the month of March. Now, originally I did say I wanted to read 125 books this year. I think I'm going to go ahead and amend that back down to 100. I don't think that the reading challenge is something that you can kind of aim for more each year, unless you're starting at like a pretty low number for yourself. But for me, 100 is like a pretty decent number. Like I struggled to get to that last year. And that's already maybe 8 to 10 books a month. So I think I'm gonna go to 100 and maybe you know, maybe 105, maybe something like that, but I think 125. I just feel like it's putting a little bit too much on my plate. I'm also, you know, working, doing overtime. I'm getting ready to move in fall, so I just think that just to give myself a little bit more wiggle room, we're gonna keep it at 100. I think that's gonna be my goal from now on. If I go a little bit over, then great, but at least I know that I can attain that goal. So we are all done here. Thank you guys so much for watching. So I do thank you guys so much for your patience. Let me know, how did your February go? Was it better than mine? I hope so. What are you guys reading? Do any of these sound good? Do they sound great? Have you guys already read them? Keep me posted. But thank you so much for watching. I definitely appreciate you. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Toodles.